Measure M is a referenda, a sales tax ballot box measure. It is to improve freeway traffic flow, a bunch of money for transit, but the big ticket item is a half-cent sales tax and continue the one-half traffic relief tax until voters decide to end it. One of the questions that I have is simply, is 2/3 reasonable? Is there any other type of referenda that requires 2/3 majority?
Not familiar with very many other states that impose a 2/3 requirement for even funding initiatives. Here it's targeted to dedicated funding initiatives.
It's almost easier to get an amendment to the U.S. Constitution than it would be to get a referendum to end a tax in Los Angeles. So let's call this what it is, a permanent tax, a forever tax.
$30 billion is set aside for bus and rail operations. About $23 billion are for local street improvements. About $2.4 billion for state of good repair. $2.4 goes to programs for students, seniors, and the disabled. $2.4 for bike and pedestrian connections to transit, and about $2 billion for regional rail.
It has the potential to build a lot of projects that could be great for neighborhoods, for communities, for different groups of people within the county, and for the county as a whole.
One of the challenges we have with a county of our size, 10 million people and growing, and given that this sales tax is only estimated to generate about $860 million a year, we can't build everything at the same time.
The object here is to get voters to think, on the one hand, this is a public good, so it's good for everybody, good for me wherever I want to go, wherever I live. But on the other hand, it provides particular goods for my neighborhood.
When you look at it, you'll see that those projects in those regions in the South Bay and the Southeast take a backseat to projects in the city of Los Angeles. So if this is a type of discrepancies or these inequities we see that happen when the 2/3 majority exists, imagine what would take place if it was at 55%.
When you look at geographic equity, we have to actually, as the Regional Transportation Agency, look at all of the mobility patterns, and we recognize that people just don't stay within their own neighborhood. Only 52% of the residents of the South Bay commute every day within the South Bay. The rest go to other parts of the county or outside of the county. And for the Gateway, 44% stay within their area. That does not also include people who live in Moreno Valley who commute to LA County every day, because some of them are my coworkers, or the surrounding counties that come into LA County and actually benefit from the upgraded roads. They benefit from taking our subway system. They benefit from taking our Metrolink system. So the challenge for policymakers, what is the best way to try to spread the levy, if you will, among most of the likely users?
Areas along a transit-dependent corridor, amongst communities of color like Vermont, are pushed to the side so that people can get shiny new projects in other areas. Because if you look at this map, and you look at the Prop A map in 1980, Metro is still trying to build those very same projects. The Metro Board is a highly political board composed of people that are primarily concerned not about you, the taxpayer, not concerned about transit riders themselves. They're concerned about the people who primarily fund their campaigns, developers, contractors, unions. If you trust that board, which has already, just since Measure R, had projects exceed over $1 billion in cost overruns, with a tax that you will not be able to stop, a tax that is for forever, and you should vote for it. But if you have concerns about politicians making decisions without any appropriate accountability measures, if you're concerned about regional equity, if you're concerned about the transit riders that currently are on the system, then you clearly should not be supporting the tax measure.
On average, LA County residents spend about 80 hours a year stuck in traffic. That's a paycheck for most of us. Opponents of Measure M don't offer an alternative to it. Mayor Garcetti, who's led the initiative for the ballot measure, has said it will not come back in 4 years, at a minimum 8 years because of the presidential cycle. From a policy perspective, Measure M has been developed as a result of looking at our long-range funding plan. So I encourage you to follow Metro. It's called our Long-Range Transportation Plan Update, which we look out at a minimum of 30-year horizon to identify what are the needs. And this Measure M is just one piece of that long-range transportation plan. So what happens 8 years from now? You guys will have to decide.